welcome. Good to have you here. Um, my name is Jose, and today I would like to talk to you about childhood trauma and the subconscious mind, right? Um, I'm sure you heard of the subconscious mind, and what role does the subconscious mind play in childhood trauma, right? Uh, as many of us know, right? Uh, our subconscious holds, right? Holds a lot of things, right? A lot of memories, uh, and we we're gonna get into that, right? We're gonna get into the role that the subconscious mind plays in the effects, right, of childhood trauma. All right. So to begin with, first let's talk about the subconscious mind, right? So first, let's look at the mind, right, in totality, right? The conscious mind uh, makes up only 10%, right, of the total mind, right? So that's not a lot when you consider the total mind, right? I don't know if you ever heard that saying that we only use 10% of our mind, right? Of our brain. Well, this is where this comes in, right? Because the conscious mind is the part of the mind, right, that we are able to think with, right, and make choices. All right. So this is the part of the mind where the willpower is, right? We make choices, right? We think, right? This is the conscious mind, right? The awareness of everyday life, right? Uh, no, it's a part of the mind, right? That's involved in sensing, right? In sensing all everything that's around you, right? What you see, what you hear, what you touch, right? What you taste, right? What you smell, right? Uh, all this is goes through the conscious mind, right? So our normal awakening state, right? Uh, is handled, right, using our conscious mind, right? So only 10% of our mind is conscious, right? Now, the subconscious mind, right? The subconscious mind is much, much larger, right? As you probably guess, 90%, right, of our subconscious or unconscious mind, right? Now, this part of our mind is not conscious, right? It operates away from consciousness, right? It does operate, right? It's always operating, it's always working, right? Our subconscious mind is always working. However, we're not aware of it, right? It's fully automated, right? Now, the subconscious mind, right? Do we have to think about breathing? No, we don't have to think about breathing, right? We just breathe, right? It's automatic, right? It's controlled by the subconscious mind, right? Do we have to think about our heart? We have to think about, you know, making sure our heart pumps every minute, every second. No, we do not, because this is controlled by the subconscious mind, right? It's all automated, all right? So things like breathing, uh, heart rate, digestion, right? All the processes that go on in the body that we don't even think about, right? That keep our bodies alive. All this is handled by the subconscious mind, right? Another thing about the subconscious mind, right? If you learn a skill, right? Maybe you learn the sport, right? Or you learn maybe how to ride a bike, or you learn how to type, or any other skill that you know how to do, right? That took you time to learn, right? That's also in your subconscious mind, right? So, for example, if you learn how to type, right, like I have, right? I never knew how to type into I was later in my life, right? And at first I had to think about where the letters are, where all the letters are, where all the keys are. I have to train myself, right? Now that has become automatic. I don't have to think about where the A is, the B, or the C, or I don't have to think about it, right? Because it's automated, right? It's in the subconscious already, right? It's there. I don't have to think about it, right? Now, same thing with something more natural like walking, right? When you were a baby, you didn't know how to walk, right? And you learn slowly, step by step, right? You learn slowly how to walk. And now you don't have to think about how to walk. You know how to walk, right? It's in the subconscious, right? The how you walk, the muscles, the nerves, uh, how you put one foot in front of the other. It's all automatic in the subconscious. You don't need to learn how to. You don't need to think about no. How do I walk? You just walk, right? You just walk. Okay. And same thing with any other thing that takes time to learn. Okay. Maybe it could be playing the piano, right? Or learning a new video game, right? Maybe a new video game that you just started playing. At first, you have to think about what to do, the moves, how to control it, right? But now you don't even think about where your fingers are, right? You just know where the controls are, right? So that's all in your subconscious mind, right? Things that we learn, right? Things that we learn. Now, okay, very good, very good. So you had to think about it initially, but now it's automatic, right? Now it's automatic in your subconscious. You don't have to think about it, okay? Now, another very important thing that's in the subconscious, right, is our beliefs, right? Our beliefs are automatic, right? We don't have to think about them. We just believe them, right? We have beliefs, right? Beliefs that are set, maybe that were handed down from our family, right? Maybe that were handed down through the generations, right? But those are beliefs that are in the subconscious. We don't think about it, we just believe it, right? Another thing is habits, right? Habits are in the subconscious, right? Like, for example, I like to take my shoes off before I come to the house, right? That is a habit, right? I have that habit that when I come home, I feel this powerful urge to take off my shoes before I come in the house. That's a habit. You, I'm pretty sure, have some habits, right? Those are in your subconscious, right? And automatic responses, right? Sometimes uh, you might hear a joke, right? And it makes sense to you, and you laugh. An automatic response, right? Is in your subconscious. Or the other way around, you might hear something and you get angry, and you're not even thinking about it, right? You're angry, but you don't think about it. You just react with anger. That's in your subconscious. Now, speaking of anger and fear, right? Your flight or fight, right? Your fight or flight response, right? Is also in your subconscious, right? If we see something dangerous, we react whether we're going to fight or we're going to run, right? That's in your subconscious, right? It needs to be automatic, right? If there's a dangerous situation, for example, a dangerous animal, right? We have to react. We have to decide, okay, I'm gonna be, and the animal maybe is coming toward us, right? We have to think, right? What are we gonna do, right? Or if there's another dangerous situation, right? Maybe we see a car coming, right? And maybe the guy didn't stop, at the stop sign. Our bodies automatically react, right? Like get out of the way. Or if we're about to cross the street, maybe we freeze, right? We see the car and we freeze, right? Uh, so that all is all in the subconscious mind. All right. So I just gave you a brief overview of the subconscious mind, and now we're going to talk about the subconscious mind and how it is involved in the effects of childhood trauma. All right. So something else our subconscious mind stores is traumatic memories. All right. Traumatic memories, right? When we go through a traumatic memory in childhood, right, we are too young to handle those powerful emotions, right? We're too young. Children do not understand what is going on, right? So we don't we don't save, right, our traumatic memories, right, like we save regular non-traumatic memories, right? Traumatic memories are saved differently, right? Right? They are saved in our subconscious, away from conscious awareness, right? Because they're too powerful. Those emotions are too powerful, right? For a child to handle. So, what the mind does to protect, right? To protect the child's sanity, right? Their mind, the memory goes into the subconscious where it is away from conscious awareness. All right? So, why are children especially vulnerable, right, to mistreatment? Why are they? Why are children especially vulnerable to mistreatment, right? Well, the critical mind, right? First, let me tell you what the critical mind is, right? The critical mind is the filter between the conscious and the subconscious mind, right? Now, this filter, what it does, it filters things out, right? Like the name implies, it filters things out. It filters what goes into the subconscious and what does not make it into the subconscious. Remember, what goes into the subconscious stays there, right? It stays there for life. All right. So this is it's an important job of the critical mind, right? Because whatever makes it to the subconscious stays there for life, right? So the filter, right? This filter, this protective critical mind, right? This protective filter does not develop into age 8, into about 8 years old, right? Into the age of 8, this filter does not develop into age 8. Okay, so what does that mean? Well, that means that whatever the child experiences, right? Whatever the child is told, whatever the child sees, whatever the child experiences, right, goes straight into the subconscious without question, without any analyzing, right? No analyzing, no questioning. The child accepts it as truth. Okay? Remember, the critical mind does not develop into age 8. All right? So, what the child is being told, right? the child accepts it as truth. It goes straight into the subconscious. There is no filter. However, the child is being treated, if the child is being treated mean and disrespectful, like I was, right, during my childhood, I was severely abused by my mother and emotionally neglected by my father. I took that as truth. There was nothing else I could do. I didn't have a critical mind. I didn't have a filter up into the age of 8, right? And so I took everything as truth, right? And that stays in the mind, right? It stays with the mind throughout life, right? So think about that for a second. Think about that for a second, right? If the child, if someone is sarcastic with the child, right? The child will take that as truth, all right? Because the the subconscious mind does not understand humor. It does not understand a joke, right? It takes things as truth, as literal truth. So we have to be very careful how we talk to our children, right? If we're tired from work, we're exhausted, and we're not in a good mood, we have to be especially careful that we don't say something that the child will take as truth, right? Like if we say to the child, "Oh, leave me alone," the child is going to take that as literal truth. The child is not going to understand that you're tired from work, that you just meant it, that you didn't mean it. The child is not going to understand that you didn't mean it. The child is not going to understand that you're at work, that you just came home from work and you're exhausted. No, the child is going to just take it as literal truth that you he will feel that he is a bother, right? And he will carry that for the rest of his life. And it's going to impact his relationships. It's going to impact how he feels about himself, his self-esteem. Okay? So the child will take everything literal. Okay? Also, if the child is abused like I was, right? The child is going to take that as literal truth, that that's how they deserve to be treated, that they don't deserve to be treated with love and kindness and support and protection. Okay? Whatever they see, whatever they experience, that is what they're going to take as the truth about them, right? About who they are, and also the truth about who their parents are, right? My parent's not a loving parent. My parent is not an understanding parent, right? People, they're going to interpret that as people in authority, right, are not understanding, right? They're not understanding. They don't treat me well, right? I have to be careful with people in authority, right? So have to be very careful, right? Because the children absorb. I'm sure you heard that saying before, the children are like sponges, right? And it's true. They're like sponges and they take everything as truth about themselves and about the world. They don't understand circumstances. They don't understand that we might have a bad day today. They don't understand that, okay? Because they don't have that critical mind, all right? Now, why do children take everything in, right? Why we already explained, right? Because they don't have that critical mind to filter things out, right? But also a child, their brain are different, right? I'm sure you heard that the brain, brain waves, right? We all have brain waves, right? And these brain waves, right, affect how our consciousness is, right? Our level of thinking, how much we think, how deep we think, right? So children's brain waves, right? Um, the frequency of a child's brain waves, right, who is 8 years, who is, I'm sorry, who is under 8 years old, are low. right? Their brain waves are low. All right. Now, they are as low as an adult under hypnosis. Think about that for a second, right? A child, right, who is under 8 years old, right? Remember that critical mind, right? Doesn't doesn't um doesn't come into the child is 8. So before 8, right? Their brain waves are very low as as an adult who is under hypnosis, right? So the child is in what is called, right, a hypnagogic trance, right? A hypnagogic trance, right? This is equivalent to the state between wakefulness and sleep, all right? So children are like in this hypnagogic trance, right? Comes from the word hypnosis, right? And it's like they are between, it's like the equivalent of being between a wakefulness and sleep, right? Um, that's why children have such a great imagination, right? Because this threshold consciousness, right? This threshold consciousness, right, between wakefulness and sleep, right, includes lucid thoughts, lucid dreaming, hallucinations. Okay, so that's why children have such a great imagination, right? But when there is mistreatment, this imagination works against, right? Okay, so their their brain waves are as low as an adult who is in hypnosis, right? So they are in this kind of trance, right, between wakefulness and sleep, right? So that means that whatever the child, right, whatever the child is told will become programmed, right, will become programmed, similar to being hypnotized, right? Similar to being hypnotized, right? Whatever the child is told will become programmed into their subconscious as true, right? Because they are in this kind of, you know, this trance, right? This trance, okay? That, this hypnagogic state, right? That they're in. So whatever they're told becomes programmed, right? It's akin to being hypnotized, right? Into their subconscious as true, you know? So this is why it's so important. We have to be careful, you know, we have to be really aware of our interactions with our children, okay? Because they don't have a filter to a critical mind to filter things out, right? And they're also in this, in this kind of, trance, right, between wakefulness and sleep, because their brain waves are so low at that age that everything we tell them just goes right into their subconscious, right? They become programmed, like being hypnotized, all right, to believe that whatever they hear is gets programmed into the subconscious mind. However they're treated becomes programmed into their subconscious mind as true, because how you treat a child is, that's you telling the child, okay, this is who you are, this is your self-worth, this is what your worth is as a human being, okay? That's more than words, right? It's so much more powerful than words, right? How we treat a child is telling the child, this is your self-worth as a human being. And that goes straight into their subconscious and it stays there for life. Okay? Stays there for life, right? So, mistreatment, right? Ends up, what ends up? Well, self-defeating beliefs, right? About who they are. Self-defeating beliefs about who they are, right? This is what they get from mistreatment, neglect, emotional neglect, right? Harsh words, right? What develops inside is self-defeating beliefs, right? That remain with us throughout our lives. What can we do if our subconscious was swapped with self-defeating beliefs? From abuse, right? Any type of abuse, right? Or neglect, right? Emotional neglect as well. What can we do about that? Well, normal or non-traumatic memories, right? They're stored throughout the cortex, right? The conscious part of the brain, right? These are non-traumatic memories, right? And they can be retrieved with modest effort, right? You could think about, your first, maybe, you know, when you started school, you could kind of remember, right? You kind of remember how you felt and things like that, right? They are retrieved with modest effort, right? Those are non-traumatic memories, right? Now, traumatic events, on the other hand, are stored in the subconscious, outside of conscious awareness, right? Right, and the reason for that is to protect the person, right? Protect the child and the person when they grow up, right? Because when they get older, they don't remember. But the purpose of this is to protect the person from being debilitated by the horrific memory. Okay. However, right, this works when you're a child, right? It works, and it's intended to protect the child, right? But when we're adults, if those suppressed memories are not brought back to conscious awareness, they will likely result in debilitating mental problems, right? Like anxiety, PTSD, depression, and dissociative disorders, all right? So if those memories, those traumatic memories are not retrieved, right, then we're going to have uh, debilitating mental problems, right? So those memories need to be accessed, right? So how can we access these repressed traumatic memories? Okay, well, there was some research done, right, at Northwestern University, right? What they did was they got a group of mice, a little inebriated, right? A little bit intoxicated by injecting their hippocampus, right, with a drug known as gaboxidol, right? Now, this drug, right, this drug known as gaboxidol, right, it stimulates, right, extra-synaptic GABA receptors, right? So basically, they get the mice a little inebriated, right, a little bit intoxicated, okay? So they got this group of mice, right, a little bit intoxicated, a little bit inebriated, and what they did then was they placed the mice in what is called a Skinner box, right? A Skinner box is a box, right, that is there. Well, anyways, I better explain to you and you get what a Skinner box is as I explain. Okay? I think that's a better way. All right? So when they were put in the Skinner box, right, uh, the mice received a mild electric shock, right? Remember, they're a little bit inebriated, a little bit intoxicated, and then they're put into the Skinner box where they receive a mild electric shock. So the next day, okay, the mice are no longer inebriated, right? They're no longer intoxicated, right? So the scientists put the mice back in the box, in the Skinner box, right? And the mice, they just go about their normal business, right? They don't show any fear of the electric shock. They show no fear whatsoever. Is they don't remember the electric shock, right, from the day before. Now, so this showed the mice did not remember the electric shock they had received. So they show no fear, okay? So what did the researchers notice, right? They noticed, right, that when the mice were inebriated again, right, when they were intoxicated again with gaboxidol and placed in the Skinner box, they froze with fear, right? When they were again, inebriated with the gaboxidol drug, right, and they were again a little intoxicated and put in the Skinner box, they froze with fear, right? They froze with fear. Remember, when they were put in the Skinner box without being inebriated the next day, they show no fear. But when they were put in the Skinner box while inebriated the next day into the Skinner box, they froze with fear. Okay, so what happened is this results established that when the mental state, right, the mental state in this case, inebriation, right, intoxication, in which the mice had received the mild shocks was reintroduced, the mice were able to remember the traumatic experience, right? That's what when the mice were returned to the same mental state, right, and put into the same box where they received the electric shocks, then they remember. They froze with fear. Mental state into the same, they were brought back to the same mental state. Then they remember the trauma, right, of the mild electric shocks. Okay? So that is very, very interesting, right? That is very interesting, right? So traumatic memories are saved into our unconscious memory, right? Away from conscious awareness in order to protect your sanity, right? In childhood, right? So in later years, they must be retrieved in order to prevent the onset of psychological problems such as anxiety, depression, PTSD, and dissociative disorders, right? So these findings with the mice, right? Uh, right, these new findings show that the most effective way to retrieve unconscious memory, right, unconscious traumatic memory, seems to be the returning to the same mental state of consciousness, mindset, or returning to the actual place where the trauma originally took place. And thus, the traumatic memory was first encoded. All right. So to get right, first of all, children don't have a filter, right? They cannot filter things out. Everything they're told, everything they're shown, how they're treated goes straight into the subconscious mind, and is taken as literal truth, right? They don't understand sarcasm. They don't understand jokes. Uh, Everything that is told about them up into the age of 8 goes straight into the subconscious as truth. It stays with them for life. All right. Now, the subconscious has that job in childhood, right? To protect the child, it takes the traumatic memory away from consciousness and brings it to the subconscious where it's not consciously, the child is not consciously aware of it. And when they grow up, the teenager is not consciously aware of it, and the adult is not consciously aware of it. And this is done to protect, right? To protect the person, protect their sanity, right? So, but Once they're adults, they have to retrieve those, right? They have to retrieve those memories, because if they don't, then uh, there's going to be mental psychological problems, right? Like anxiety, depression, PTSD, dissociative disorders. Uh, so those have to be retrieved, right, with the help of a caring professional, right? Uh, so, and how are they retrieved? Well, they're retrieved, right? Uh, by returning to the same mental state, right? Returning to the same mental state as when the experience or the trauma was first experienced, right? We have to return. We have to go back. I know many of us spend our lives running away and trying to forget the trauma and trying to get distracted and go after other things with just anything to not think about it, right? And that's actually the wrong way to go. What we have to do, according to this research, right, is go back and remember and get back into that same state of mind, all right, and retrieve the trauma and see how it felt and see that those awful feelings we feel every day, right, that we think are created today, they were created in the trauma, okay? Everything around us is just a trigger, right? Everything around me is not creating my anxiety, right? That anxiety that I feel, that I've been feeling for a long time, it's not created by things around me, right? They're created by my childhood, okay? So I have to go back and see where that anxiety was born. When was I born, right? Or my depression, right? If I feel very, very sad, right? Or I feel hypervigilant, right? Hypervigilant, right? Always anxious about everything and always, looking out for danger. I have to go back to when that started. I have to return to that same state of mind. Right? I have to relive the trauma, right? I have to relive it and see where those feelings were actually born, right? And then once I identify when they were born, say, oh, I remember, yes, I remember my mother did this to me, and this is how she made me feel. I remember, right? Then the subconscious mind starts to figure things out. Okay, yeah, this happened in the past. This was created in the past. It's not created today. Today it's only triggers, right? Something that might remember, made me remember what happened on a subconscious level that I'm not even aware of, right? I'm not even conscious of it. But it was created in the past, right? What we have around us are only triggers, right? They're not the cause. They're not the cause of our depression, our anxiety, our PTSD, or all those feelings we feel, all those awful feelings that we've been feeling for a long time, right? The anger, uh, all everything we have around it is basically triggers. Okay, all right. If you feel that you acting there's way too much anger, that's a sign that was born in the past in the trauma. If you feel like you feel too much scared, way too scared, over the top, afraid, right, and afraid all the time and always anxious, that's a good sign that this was born in the past, right? And we have to go back there. We have to go in our minds, right? And remember and relive and see that it was born there and finally figure it out, okay? Match the feelings that we're feeling today, the feelings of anger, terror, rage, deep sadness, match those feelings with what actually happened in the past. Okay? Go back and rediscover that, okay, inside of us. Okay? And then the subconscious mind will understand this was in the past, it's not in the present, right? I'm here in the present now, right? That's another thing we have to tell ourselves. I am in the present now. I'm an adult, and no one can do what my parents did to me. My parents cannot do that to me again, right? I'm safe now. I'm an adult. I can take care of myself and protect myself. Okay? So once we do that, then the subconscious mind will start to realize, okay, wait, we're not in the past, we're in the present. Things are very different now. Okay? I'm an adult. I know a lot more. I'm wiser because I'm an adult. I know a lot more, right? I'm stronger. I can take care of myself. I'm not a helpless child, right? I'm an adult. Nobody can do that to me now again, right? So that is how the subconscious mind is involved in the effects of childhood trauma. All right. Okay, very well. So if you found this useful, please give it a like. So lets me know. All right. If you like topics like this, more topics like this, then go ahead and subscribe. That also lets me know that you're looking forward to more discussions like this. All right. And leave a comment. All right. What do you think about this discussion? What do you think about it? What do you think about the subconscious mind? You know, if you were, were you were traumatized? How do you think, what do you think about your subconscious mind? And, how aware are you? How you feel, right? The consequences of the trauma. How aware are you that that's coming from your subconscious mind? That it's not really being created in the present, right? It was created a long time ago. How aware are you of that? And what do you think about what I discussed? Okay, very good. All right, so that's going to be it for today. And I hope to hear from you. All right, and hear your insights about today's topic. All right, so it was good to have you here, and you have yourself a great day. Take care.